Alright guys, what is going on? Welcome back. Unfortunately, this is going to be an audio upload. This truck is loud, old, and clunky, if I can speak today, but it is what it is. This is going to be an important broadcast regardless, at least in my opinion. You know, here in California, they dropped all the mask mandates, and it seems like 95% of the people are still wearing them. I see people on a daily basis. I wouldn't say a daily basis, but pretty much any time I go out in the car or out of the house, at some point, if I'm out for like 10 or 15 minutes, I'm going to see someone literally driving with one on, walking with one on. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It's just fucking nuts, you guys. This place looks like some type of realm, like some hell realm in a role-playing game, right? I was just driving to the liquor store to get some vodka to make some tinctures. I'm going to soak some herbs and some vodka for a few months, make a strong tincture. And on the way there, I'm making a left-hand turn, so I have to slow down. And there's this lady on the corner of the road that had just gotten through the crosswalk, and she's got this dog. And the dog stepped up on this little patch of dirt, and apparently the lady didn't like that. The lady wanted this dog just on the pavement, but this dog, out of curiosity, just walked up on this little patch of dirt and started sniffing, and she fucking pulled the leash so hard, and you could tell the dog was just totally shocked, but almost like it was used to this type of behavior. And the lady just started yelling at the dog and yanking at the dog and like just out of control. Lady saw me looking at her. She looked over. We made eye contact. The lights were on, but no one was home. Literal zombie glare, literal fluoride stare. These people out here, ladies and gentlemen, not all of them by a long shot, but many of them are totally conditioned, and they are like fried eggs. They are cooked. They're well done. Catch my drift? Holy shit. Nissan GTR. That's fucking awesome. But I mean, goddamn, guys. I mean, literally, this place literally resembles some type of level, some strange, out of alignment, kind of evil ran level in a role-playing game. In fact, the more I take my power plants, the more I shift my assemblage point, the more I throw myself into alien states of consciousness via gnosis, through my efforts, through my work, through my alchemy, through my shamanism, through my sorcery, through my magic, through my meditations, through my desire to pierce through the perceptual veil and access the truth of our consciousness and what we are. The more I do all of these things, the more I'm starting to see that this strongly appears to be a simulation of sorts, folks. It really does. I'm not 100% sure if we do live in a simulation. I don't actually believe that at the end of the day. But there are certain mechanics of this world, ladies and gentlemen, that strongly mirror the mechanics of how a simulation works. So, you know, it's unfortunate that things have gotten to the way that they are, it's unfortunate. I can't speak today, folks. It's unfortunate that things have gotten this way, because they never had to be this way, right? But we've got the New World Order perched above us like these buzzards, picking our bones out, trying to regulate everything in our lives. And unfortunately, people don't often see the grand con job that's being played on them, right? The wizard behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz here. So, people like me to talk about solutions. People sometimes say I'm a fearmonger. And if me talking about the hardcore nature or truth about this reality is fear-mongering, well, I guess you're afraid of the truth, and I guess that's why you don't want to hear it, right? I've always tried my best to offer solutions in tandem with the truth, which is often, the truth is hardcore. So I try to offer a yin-yang of sorts, an equal balance of both opposites, because that's how I try to live my life. That's how I try to, use my mind. I don't like to pick polarities or opposites and shun the evil and just act like I'm high and mighty in my pretentious little spiritual ivory tower, right? With my new age isms and all my garbage and my bullshit and my mental illness. No, that's not how I operate things. I fan the eternal flames of the black flame, folks. The black gnosis. We go inward to find the light. And we find the light, ladies and gentlemen, and we ignite that black flame by systematically taking apart our programmed mind and rebuilding it based on our own script. Catch my drift? Free of all the rubbish, free of all of the programming, free of all of the clutter, free of all of the foreign installations of the Archon, free of all of the nonsense. That is what magic is for, folks. Magic is a system that you use to dissect your mind like a surgeon, removing a cancer from a body. But that's not what's taught here in the West. That's not what's taught here in 2022. With all the, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual type of people. The type of people whose spirituality has a governor on it, right? Like a vehicle. Where crystals and, certain passages from the Bible make up their, or certain passages from certain books. Like the spirituality in 2022, let me just put this out there. What I'm trying to say here is very sterile. It's very bland. It takes in less than 0.1% of the truth of what spirituality is supposed to be, which is just you, ladies and gentlemen, with a sane mind and a healthy body. That's how spiritual consciousness comes out. It flowers or blooms like a flower, like a seedling, right? Reaching for the light. Catch my drift? Spirituality is not something you have to look for. It's something that develops and comes out of you as you get on track. Catch my drift? And you get your mind right. But you're not going to get your mind right, folks, in the colleges. You're not going to get your mind right at the 9-to-5 jobs. You're not going to get your mind right watching the television for 6 hours a day, which many Americans do. Statistically, look it up. Look up how many hours a day the average American watches television. And then when you factor in that's just TV, think about how many hours people are on their phones, blah, blah, blah. I'm guilty of it as well. I use this thing all the time, this phone. So when I point my finger at people, I'm pointing 3 back at me. Most people don't realize that. You see, you could be a well-intentioned person that went through the system's, conveyor belt, I like to call it, and still be as programmed as anybody else. Your degree of intelligence by the system's standards it's not a prerequisite for wisdom. Catch my drift? Like a bunch of fancy fucking plaques on the wall and degrees. That doesn't mean you're actually wise. Catch my drift? Some of the dumbest people in the world are the people with the biggest fucking credentials. Or the largest amount of credentials. So, and people are programmed to think that credentials are the foundation or the fountainhead of intelligence, right? I had a friend once that we had a kind of a falling out. It was largely due to kind of my fault. He came over once, and I hadn't seen him in a while. And he knew I was into the health thing. This was like in my early 20s, or my early to mid 20s. He knew I was into the health thing. He had watched some of my videos, and he came over in front of my parents and said, "Oh, so you just want to be one of those people that doesn't have credentials and kind of just, does your own thing and kind of makes all your stuff up and blah, blah, blah." I don't exactly know how to, articulate it the way he said it, but it was a perfect example of how when people will automatically write you off often as an idiot if you don't have some fancy plaque on the wall with some paperwork or this, that, and the other. And I'm not judging people who go to school. I'm judging the fact that people often go to school. What the fuck is going on? There's a fucking brand new McLaren. I'm seeing all sorts of nice cars. Maybe that's a good omen. Things are moving fast in the right direction, right? I think you catch my drift, you guys. The school system is a nefarious deception. It's a Trojan horse weapon system that's designed to get you to think that logic is understanding factoids and a bunch of crap. No, you guys, wisdom is where real intelligence comes from. Knowledge is very worldly, right? Worldly knowledge is much different than wisdom. Wisdom comes directly from gnosis, which is direct experience with the divine. Through your own mind and body, it can happen. I've experienced it. Many people have. When an individual shatters the perceptual veil by way of moving the assemblage point and they re-access a Gnostic consciousness, they realize that they've been lied to and duped by the system that's been claiming to have their best interest at heart. And it changes the entire script or the narrative that they've led to believe their whole life. This creates a whiplash effect that inflicts damage to the ego and causes the unconscious mind in the shadow to have to integrate with the ego's dissolution. Catch my drift? This is called post-awakening syndrome. If an individual walks the razor's edge and navigates through the valley of the land of the dead after they've had a Kundalini awakening or an experience with Gnosis, if they handle the post-awakening trauma properly, they will grow in strength 10,000-fold. If they don't, they will be reduced beyond zero. Even I hate to say it, you guys, but if you have like a full-blown Kundalini awakening or an experience with Gnosis and you're given a download of the truth and the ego, you can't learn to integrate the unconscious and the ego and all the layers of the mind. You'll just be driven insane. You'll be driven back to like certain religious, or you'll be driven to certain like beliefs that just make you feel comfortable. They're safety mechanisms because you don't want to deal with the growth that comes from the post-awakening trauma. So I'm going off on a million fucking different directions, you guys. Just trying to lay it out there. The solutions are out there. Power plants, folks. How many times do I have to say this? Finding your plant ally. Mineralizing your tissues. Doing the inner temple exercise, doing the 4 inner exercises regularly. You can do them in tandem with your power plants as long as you have a strong connection with the ally in the power plant. Otherwise, you do the 4 inner exercises with the wrong plant and you can fuck shit up. You just got to have some courage. You got to be brave. You got to walk the razor's edge. You can shatter, if I can speak again today, the perceptual veil. The keys are out there. They're in your hand. Unfortunately, the mind control is so sophisticated that many people will never realize that. I don't think most people realize how deep the cognitive mind control pattern looping is in their own mind, and how it literally creates their reality by fixing their attention on certain things that by default, when the attention is sustained on that particular thing, it creates a mental loop cycle that attracts to you what you're focusing on based on your attention. Attention, when you guide it towards something, you use energy. It takes up a lot of energy, and where you put your energy is where you go in life, and where you go in life is what you attract. It's a fucking crazy world, you guys. It's insane. And that's why I favor the nocturnal path. When the sun goes down, the world's my oyster. When the sun goes down, the world literally feels like it's mine. It's like in my hand. Because the fucking insanity of the day and all the zombies aren't out, right? The zombies largely sleep at night. The fucking zombies sleep at night. Because the zombies are all about their schedule and their routines and their worldly fucking affairs, right? And to do that, you've got to fucking wake up at 6 a.m. and, the fact that the fucking system promotes getting up at the ass crack of dawn, it should get you to question it. And, I'm not saying that people who get up at the ass crack of dawn are bad. I do it for part of the year as well. But, there were years, for 3 years in a row, where I'd just be nocturnal. Go to bed at 7 a.m. You know how much time I had to myself because I fucking rejected the day with all of its sharp fucking piercing rays and the fucking insane people out here? You know how much time I had to myself? This is how I developed. This was my sanctuary. This was my church. This was my time alone with myself, my mind, my inner connection to the most intimate and deepest parts of my mind. This is where I practiced and engaged in my sorcery. I started practicing sorcery before I started practicing magic. I'm actually much more naturally a sorcerer than a magician. I don't want to say I fell ass backwards into sorcery, but through certain things that I chose to do in my early years, it eventually led to certain experiences. I was in kind of like the right place at the right time, and I engaged in certain things through shamanism, and things just clicked. It wasn't until later in my life that I really got serious about magic, because it took me a long time to really understand what magic is. Because there's so much intellectual crap out there about magic. It's like this intellectual masturbation pig pen, where everybody repeats the same thing, and people think magic is about attracting money and your love, like a lover to into your life. Motherfucker, magic is about you getting your mind right. And it's an extensive, ritual-based, fucking meditation-based, beautiful system. But I don't think many people actually know that. Magic isn't about making your life easier. Magic is about confronting the things that you don't want to confront, the things in your shadow, the things in your unconscious mind, bringing them to light, and then tweaking the ego, integrating everything, integrating the whole being. I mean, Jesus Christ, do you think that's easy? Because if you do, you've never gone down and pierced the delicate membrane between ego and unconscious, sane, and the parts of your mind that are kind of repressed. And let me tell you, we all have it. Magic is a system that, if you follow properly, can safely guard you as you reconstruct yourself, reconfigure yourself, reshape your energetic configuration so that you can be more whole again in this world that is totally out of alignment. There's some trauma that comes with it, but once you get through it, you're strengthened 10,000-fold. Nobody said it was going to be easy. In the same way that you've got to lift weights to build muscle, you got to tear muscle. It hurts, right? Nobody likes to do it. But afterwards, you feel good. And as you see yourself getting bigger and stronger, that feels fucking great, right? Of course it does. Anyways, you guys, I'm pulling up to the house now. Peace be with you all.